Hello and welcome back. If you're new around here, my name is Jill. Welcome.
Yeah.
So today what we're going to make is some ham and cheese pockets. It is one of my kids' favorite things. It is so useful for an after school snack. You can freeze them so easily, and then individually kids can come and just pull them out of the freezer, throw them in the microwave, and have a nice hot and hearty meal. We're going to go ahead and make the dough from scratch. It just needs some really basic dough, some ham, and some cheese. If you want to put some extra seasonings in there, you sure can, some Italian seasoning or whatever it is. But we keep it pretty simple around here. This is also something that I make during harvest time. I'm able to make a little extra side money by selling these ham and cheese pockets and the beer rocks to the farmers during harvest, and it just makes them have a little easier time when it comes to having dinner when they're just busy all day. So far in this bowl, we have 1¼ cups of warm water and 1 1/8 teaspoon of active dry yeast. Okay, so after we get this water and the yeast mixed together, we're just gonna let it sit for about 10 minutes, make sure it gets nice and frothy with little bubbles. That's our indicator to know that the yeast is still alive and doing its job. Okay, so this has sat for a little while and we just wanna see some bubbles, some life to that yeast in there. And so we're gonna go ahead and add now a 1/2 cup of warm milk and 1/4 cup of melted butter. We want this to be nice and warm, not too warm, however. We want to add this in, and then we're going to stir this for about a minute. Don't want it to be too warm because we'll damage our yeast. All right, so while we're mixing this up and getting it all incorporated, we have just a few more things that we need to add into this, and that is 1/4 cup of sugar and 1 egg and 5 cups of flour. And then we're going to cover this and let it sit for, I think it's about an hour. Now, of course, if you want to make a big batch of these so that you had enough to put in the freezer, just double all of this recipe. That's what the normal recipe actually is. I've just halved it for right now because I didn't want to make out that many of these. And then we just need some ham. You can either do some thick ham like this, some ham like this. You can do sliced ham, whatever it is, but you're just going to dice it up into nice bite-sized little pieces. I like to cube mine fairly small just because then it spreads out really good. And then we're going to shred some cheese and we're going to add that cheese. Now, how much of both of these? I usually use about whatever this package ends up being. So this is about 1 pound of ham, but I'm guessing we're going to end up using about 1 pound of ham. And then the cheese, it's the same thing. About 1 pound, maybe 2, depending on how cheesy you want it. Okay, so now we just added in the sugar. That was a 1/4 cup of sugar. We're gonna add in, 1 egg. Woo, hello, Joe. So we'll make sure that egg is mixed in really well before we start adding in the flour. The flour, I keep it in a big old thing like this, and this is how I try to not get too much. Because if you overpack, some people say you could go in here and you can really just fluff up your flour like that to make sure you're not getting packed flour. And you just get a scoop, and then I back slide a little bit on there, and then slide forward. 2. Okay, so now we're just gonna keep going, mixing this in just a little bit at a time. Okay, so now the recipe calls for us to turn it out onto a counter, onto a floured surface, and knead it for 2 minutes. But I learned this trick from Jess over at Roots and Refuge. She doesn't like to make big messes, so she just kneads her flour in the bowl. And my bowl is large enough that it is doable for this. So this is going to be our first time trying it, but it made sense to me when I saw her do it with her bread dough. Okay, there's 2 minutes. Again, I'm not going to make any bigger mess. I'm going to roll this into a ball. gonna let this sit for an hour and we'll come back to it. While we're waiting on this dough to rise, I'm gonna start working on the ham. So, like I said, we just want little pieces. Little as you want. You can cut them even smaller than that if you wanted to. This is the Colby Jack cheese I got from Azure Standard on my order yesterday. It is 5 pounds of Colby Jack cheese. So for the sake of curiosity, it's about 19 ounces, so a little bit more than a pound. We'll see how far that goes. And take it over to my KitchenAid and do some shredding. All right, so it's been an hour. Our bread dough has risen. Here we are. So we're just gonna put this out. So we're gonna roll this out into 9, possibly 10 rolls. We're gonna try to make them equal sized. And to be exact. All right, so we have divided it out into 9 different balls that are about 5 ounces a piece. So we're just gonna roll these into like little balls and then we're gonna roll them out flat. Okay.
Okay, I think I did a round.
Good job. All right, let me roll this one out.
And then I can do mine.
If you have trouble with these balls flattening out, if they wanna just keep retracting, just let them rest for about 5 minutes and then you'll be able to roll them out a lot better. Now we're going to add the ham and the cheese, and there's not necessarily a right amount. I'm using a 1/4 cup, but it's kind of a heaping 1/4 cup. And to me, I feel like the more cheese you are, the better off they are. Then you just want to fold them up, pinch the sides. Get yourself a pan with parchment paper and preheat the oven to 375. Once we get all these made, you can make them into squares or balls, whichever way you want to shape them. The biggest thing is that you get this dough pinched real well so that all the cheese doesn't just leak out the bottoms.
Yeah, like this.
So you can gather it up like this. You tend to end up with like a really big ball of dough in the bottom if you do this. But you can do it however you want. Okay. You want to roll one out? Okay, now roll it the other way.
Okay,
I'm just kind of pick it up, turn it.
Yeah,
There you
because
go.
it's hard for me.
Try to get equal pressure. You're pushing a little harder over here than you are over here. See how fat it is still over there? So you want it to be like equal all the way across.
Okay. Okay, I think I could do that.
Okay?
Okay, let's put some ham in.
Try to keep it right in the center. Don't spread it out too far. Okay? And you can also put in Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, anything else that you'd like to have put in here. You can add that at this time. Okay, here we go. So just seal them up on the bottom, just like that. Or you can make them into squares, like that. Either way you want to do it. We're gonna pop these in the oven for 30 minutes. Oh my goodness, the cheese bubbled. There's just very little way to stop it from bubbling out.